Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's episode. An interesting title has found the moment. Excuse me. Could the destiny of lesser dimensions be the free will of greater ones? And two unique ideas came up that I felt like sharing. One is double-edged dimensions. The idea that not only the world is divided into dimensions, but the in-between dimensions is a dimension as well, as if where both dimensions are connected into one moment. And then there's the second idea, this can be seen in the description where I've written lecture on beyond the arcane. And so I've noticed certain parallels I would say, between what magic was back in the day and what we are doing with all our technologies now. There's a very strange parallel in the emergence of an individual and control factors that come to this, especially when man begins to wonder about his mind in nature's presence. That's the beauty of this world, really, that any moment we realize we don't know, we get to see what was here before we impose any view. So this idea that there are double-edged dimensions, that could it be that a two-dimensional, just for metaphor's sake, let's consider a two-dimensions, a two-dimensional view, a three-dimensional view, and a fourth-dimensional view, just for the sake of speech. So we would have beings in the two-dimensional reality, let's say two-dimensional room. They would feel like square. Okay, here I got this. Let's have this idea that there's something called Square Town. Let's say this is just like on a square table. It's like the idea of the flatlands but modified to squares, just squares. Imagine you put a cube on a two-dimensional plane. A cube is a three-dimensional object. Imagine you put this cube on a two-dimensional plane. Now that contact of the three-dimensional object with the two-dimensional reality is only the square. So what I mean by that is that the squares, what is destiny for the square is the free will of the cube. That is pretty much the imagery that was necessary to paint for this talk. People can, from this point on, choose to leave like I'm going to be focusing on that image, that simple relationship of the lesser dimensions with the higher ones. So, anyways, the ears will find their way as much as the voice does. I have wondered about this idea of destiny, especially as someone born in an environment where religious ideology was around. I can tell you the idea of destiny is very powerful. It is as powerful as the emotion people got from that Star Wars movie scene where one of the characters was like, the Force is strong in this. In this one, what it meant was that it's as if it is not the person's time to exit manifestation yet. So whatever happens, they are as if destined to go forth, as if the Force has more work to do through that lens of vision. And of course I'm infusing mysticism with sci-fi, but there is parallels between them. destiny is a response to consciousness. The idea that a seed planted is destined to become a tree. But it's destined also to not be a tree until it becomes a tree. That means it's destined not to be a tree until it is a tree. When I look at my existence, my biological existence, that's destiny. It's like I awoke in this manifestation, in this biological position, right? As if destiny is just the hand you're dealt at the poker table, you know? And you know what's interesting? I mean, I could be totally wrong on this, probably, but when I look at the word destiny, it kind of feels like a focus. I mean, of course, I'm looking at the word from a fragmented view, but it's like the word tiny is in destiny. And so I wonder, could it be that when we looked at the tiny, we began figuring out the echo of things macrocosmically, you know? You see, if the universe is a fractal, this idea in mathematics, and a simpler way to say it is as Plato did, as above, so below. If we have this idea that there is a game happening, but there is also amplifications of that same game happening above. That means, let's say we look inside the atmosphere and we see fear. We see people hurting one another, animals hurting one another. And I wonder, as above, so below, could it have been that Plato had figured it out back then? Plato had figured it out back then that there is nothing that can be separate in nothing, in nothingness. You know, it's as if, it's honestly, this life is like a video game where the character lives for a day and then respawns in the morning. Sleeps at night as if a certain energy, a certain resource, a certain motives or quests are active, you know? For example, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the kind of society we have built right now, it's all game-based. That means if you're not playing the same game, people don't respect you. Because people are too busy trying to fit into games rather than create new ones. You know, it's as if, like, think about all the people who spent their lives on the game of chess, and imagine all those people who could have spent their lives creating different types of chess the world had never fathomed, complex dimensions, even making the chessboard three-dimensional, you know. You know, like it's as if there can be such complexity, but when we accept what the past has given us, it's as if I don't know, there's something about the unknown that makes you not be stationed in just knowledge, and there's something about knowledge that makes you not just be stationed in the unknown. We are between the worlds of, we are like a reality between the eyes of the small and the big. And so anytime I focus on the small, I am nothing. You know, in religions, there was the idea of humility. In religious Abrahamic traditions, there's an incredible focus on, you gotta be humble. That means if you are, let's say, if you're a person who's decent enough, it doesn't matter what ideological system you have, you're a decent person. It's just that the idea of humility comes from realizing we are all nothing. In the religious angle, you go and actually conclude you're nothing on the basis that God is everything. In the secular angle, you conclude everything is nothing because the atom is empty. That means there are people on this earth that are looking at this whole system and being like, it is one, it is alive, and there are some people who are looking at it and seeing that the trace of life is we are like the way materialistic militant conclusions on the earth have taken, where they have taken us is to feel like not we are seeing a mirage on a desert, we are the mirage in the desert. You know, in the desert of empty space, we are just an elemental mirage. Oh, great. Now I feel motivated to live a lifetime. We require to have the unknown. That means, here's the thing. Imagine somebody, two people fight. Okay? Let's say it's like organized, like a martial art fight. Okay? And let's say the sensei... Okay, I don't know what metaphor to say, but I just want to paint this picture. That imagine person A and person B fought, and person A lost, and person B turned to person A and said, you were born lost, or you can't, or whatever idea of an intense dismissal of life force. Person B says, you will never be great, imagine, to person A. Person B says to person A, you'll never be great. Person A believes this. Then person C comes out of nowhere and says to person A, not only does person A not know the truth of what you say, you don't even know the truth. You see, there is so many actors in this world. I have spoken so much, I can tell, I feel by now I can tell when a person speaks if emotion is in the driver's seat or vision, or if there is a sort of reason there. Because when there is reasoning, there is the strength for the free will to solidify. But when the person doesn't have a reason or can't comprehend the reason, and what is reasoning? It's just pretty much we're brains generating structure upon the outer realms to feel we know it. In emptiness, we're trying to be something. How adorable, you know. What can I say? Through the materialistic picture, we are so humble. We are nothing. That means pretty much a binary dance of language. In today's era, we call it belief and disbelief. Back in the day, it was something else. And all it is the language wars occupying the attention of the multidimensional being that can be instrumented by the universal sector. You see, there's a way you can live as a human being. Most people are living like that, right? But then there's a way you can live as a being first, then human. This being is unconditional nature. That means at some point, me standing here, you know, having the audacity to speak, is through the recognition that at some point in the psyche, attention and energy have no way to know each other but are being one another. That means this is the thing where how can two people being the same person know each other? It's the same way of wondering about what happens to attention, which is holding the subjective, the inner realms, and energy, which is the existence. You see, it's like I in my youth, I was fascinated by the idea of mages and the arcane. I didn't know the word arcane was for it, but later on I realized it's the mystery schools. And what that means is that which happens beyond man has defined in accordance to the languages of his knowledge is the unknown. So it doesn't matter if it's like, imagine in medieval times, you know. You know, or okay, let's say it doesn't matter if it's okay. Let's say we have like Elon Musk standing in the park, and then Gandalf standing in the park, okay, and then an alien lands down, right? And Elon Musk looks at the alien and says, like, what kind of technology does this alien use, you know? And then Gandalf looks at the aliens like, what kind of magic does this alien use? What kind of magic and power does he use? See, it's the glorification of just energy and image to do something with it. What that means is, in this picture, this, I don't know, a magical lady, this magical lady in the wallpaper is holding what appears to be a ball of energy, but it could be seen to be the universe. And it's as if you cannot hold the universe, you cannot hold energy, you cannot wield anything. That means before you can move your weapon in your hand, let's say you were a swordsman back in the day, you know, in medieval times, it's as if you would have to master moving your arm like a sword by your mere mind instantly, then master holding the sword in your hand. You see, that would be the freedom of the simple and the complex. We journey through complexity in a simple way. A great strategy I implement in many moments in my life, that anything becomes too complex, I become simpler than the moment, and the karma leaves, believe it or not. Anytime you're simpler than the moment, the karma can't touch you. Honestly, I will tell you, it took me a while to realize this, just as a human being, and I consider myself to be the fool of higher dimensions. Yet the eyes remain timeless. That's the power of the free will. Whatever we do, whatever we say, and whatever will happen to energy is same. The fascination for energy, the fascination even for magic, the fascination for even the shamanic interests in divination. These were symbiosis and honoring the roots one has to the natural world. I met a person when I visited Iran, the country where I was born. I visited in 2016, and there was this friend, like family friend, like not a person I knew, but a person that knew my family. Do you know? And he was driving to the city, and I had to go there, and so I catch a ride with him, and I'm in the car, and this person doesn't stop speaking. And I was like, okay, now I know how some people listening to me may feel. Yeah. The person wouldn't stop speaking, but I was like, I'm comfortable being silent, you know, in moments. That means it doesn't bother me. Silence doesn't bother me. It did when I was very young, but then after a point, silence becomes just patience. Just becomes watching, really. So, this 2-hour ride, this person is going off about his life, just non-stop talking, as if trying to, and it was fascinating, because it was as if I was like, my Farsi was even a bit shaky, and not shaky, but, you know, not too well, but he was building his world to my ears so that I could relate to him. He was sharing his world somehow, right? And I remember just that 2 hours being quiet and just asking questions. Questions as if, okay, I'm going to listen to this story, but let's listen to it reasonably, right? And he said this experience he had where he had gone to someone and there was some sort of bad conversation and he felt some bad energy had come his way, right? And he endlessly was repeating his misfortune. And I'm like, yo, this is robotic. This is robot. It's like living it's like, how do I say it? The person had no issue. The person had an issue with the issue. So the person kept the issue. People get what they deserve, but not what the thought of them deserves, what their true nature as an energetic expression, literally as if it doesn't matter what kind of person you are on this world, you are literally an instrument. You are an instrument in which the laws of nature are playing a melody through you for some time. And this melody has also come a certain range of it in control. Right now I could move my hands in the air, but I cannot command my organs. They are not under the jurisdiction. You know, and maybe there are yogis. I've read stories of yogis back in the day where their body was literally, they were like master multidimensional painters, master multidimensional beings that had understood the singular law underneath all laws of nature. That means the view that laws of nature have laws of nature above them. Therefore, nature in a multidimensional realm is never the nature you see. Just like, I don't know, the painting is not the painting. I thought about it. Imagine, like, I was in, just to finish off that thing, that person who was saying constantly, they were vocalizing their misfortune. The poet Hafez has this quote. He says, the words you speak become the house you live in. That means if you speak lovingly, you'll have a loving house to live in. Do you know? In the inner realms. If you hate, you become homeless to your heart. That's the danger of hatred. It mutates. It mutates the person. You see, a human being, we have memory. Because we have memory, we can't make that many mistakes in life. If a person makes so many mistakes, they will eventually come to a point where the system of value they have entertained becomes meaningless. So, the person should remember their being before they do, and all will be well. That's the thing about nature. It has two faces, two sides. A side where individuals are lost, and a side where collectives are found. If the red blood cells in our veins guys, I gotta pause. Dylan in the chat section said, was the first cell so lonely it created another one? Dylan, I will tell you, that is literally a Sufi hadith accepted by the Sufis, where they feel that the source of creation was unknown and it wanted to know itself, so it created the world. That means the world is the mirror of what man for now masks as the word truth. If the cells in our veins started an educational system, they started speaking, having personalities, having free will, they're like, why am I moving with the vein, you know? That means if the universe was a higher organism, man's inefficiency to integrate and abide by the environment is the lack of health of the ultimate. You see, the purpose of the cell is non-existent when it's existent in the body, but we are cells that haven't realized we're in the body of the universe right now, right? So if the cells started their own language and had their own sciences, imagine the red blood cells in your vein, they had their own theories, philosophies on what is this whole thing, where they are and all that, right? They would suddenly, from that metaphor, we would notice that there is no language inside the vein that can explain the whole body. That means the red blood cell cannot use the one room it is in to explain the totality of the potential animate intelligence of the universe, of the existence. So this means that our red blood cells are going to be like, I have free will. Or let me say it this way. I mean, both ways work. I can make it work both ways. But here, I'll say it this way. It's like, in one way, the destiny of the red blood cell is the free will of the human being. That means if there's a red blood cell and the person gets wounded or something, that red blood cell's destiny is to leave the body, for example. You know? In the way I had personified it. I'm pretty much personifying red blood cells to create a point that language is limited. So the destiny of whether it's a square or a red blood cell is the free will of the 3-dimension of the cube or the biological body. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and now the free will of the 3rd dimension is, the destiny of the 3rd dimension is the free will of the 4th. So what I'm saying is there's this game of free will, it's just an angle. When you look below you, you have free will. When you look above you, the universe has free will. You know, the universe is like, my turn. We are wielding energy. And language can have the same effect as magic if it denies the person their nature. Anything can be magic. A box on a person's head can be equivalent to magic, right? Imagine there was a magician, the mage, I'm speaking in a fantasy, entertainer fantasy, hypothetical context here. Imagine there was a mage that could control smog, that could control, or there was this Japanese show where there was this character who had dark magic. His magic was darkness, pretty much. Do you know that means it would just counter anything in light. So imagine somebody had dark magic and they're like, yo, you know, they do something and the person, like a cloud of darkness comes around the person they can't see. Now imagine somebody goes and puts a box on a person's head. Both things have the same result. So both can be said to be the magic, you know, or both can be said to be technologies. We in the 20th century have to counter the past by treating magic as technology, because technology is like magic. What can you do, you know? But but when it comes to archaic magic, their symbolism did not have the wisdom of the allocated dimensions we have. That means we are everything back then plus more. And when we forget this, we feel back then should deny what we can be more of. So Dylan says, why do you think a person's name can detach them from nature? It doesn't detach the person. You see, I'm sitting here as a natural being. I'm not a robot right now talking to you. I'm not detached from nature, right? It's just that I am separate from the natural environment, right? A person can live in the city, but in their inner realms, they can always see the nature, you know? our name is a gift. The best way you can treat what the person has is as an opportunity. So I pretty much treat every day, every moment of my life as if they are raw resources, and I'm the inventor of my moment. I'm inventing my moments pretty much every moment, and I at least aiming to. The more it is in be an inventor of the resources that your awareness allows you to see. You see, for a multidimensional being, the narrative is not fit into see, there's a choice. If you're a two-dimensional being, if you're a square, imagine, okay, you can only fit into the world of squares unless you realize the possibility of the cube. When you realize the cube, you can't be a square. You can try. You can try as hard as you want, but once you see something more than you had previously seen, I don't want to say it scars the psyche, but there's an experiential expansion. That means the conscious mind has successfully stepped forth. And the biggest reason for violence and cruelty, you know what it is? It's honestly identification with the body before the mind. Because if a person identifies with the mind, they're like, the biological body is a rare, fragile opportunity to just see how advanced our intelligence can be and what kind of antennas we can find in this universal sector. But if the body comes first, then the mind, it's as if animals got teeth for a reason then, you know? So there's so there has to be a shift into, okay, as a being, as a multidimensional being, what kind of life you're here to live. And I'll tell you, a multidimensional being is very strange, because it's as if somebody said, get rid of your desires, and this person couldn't get rid of their desires, so they wondered about one thing. They wondered about, okay, let me find the ultimate desire. The ultimate desire that existence is marching towards experientially. There is something here. If there is just 50% chance or 0.01% chance that there is something more here. Terence McKenna, the scholar, he said it best. He said there is another tenant in the room. That means we have blindfolded ourselves from the true nature of the room we're in, because human language wanted to wear a crown in front of the mirror to itself. There is a human glory that is blind to its world. Then there is the true glory of humanity, that we were so advanced that we just lived in air and we used the air. I am telling you, if you don't fear the unknown and not knowing things, all that is left is to know. That means if you become the unknown, knowledge is the only thing moving within you. So it's this kind of double-edged, as I said, double-edged dimensions. It's like a double-edged experience where, as I'm right now speaking to you, okay, I'm noticing my biological existence, I'm noticing the space in the room, I'm noticing my sound, my voice, my movements, my hands moving as I speak. But I also notice that there is a view, and that view has access to a room where the eyes can't see, but the mind is. The mind is. The mind is. We gotta pretty much tame nouns with verbs and tame verbs with nouns. Either we have to accept that our minds are functioning at such a fast speed that the only way to live easily in this current society is to renounce the speed of your mind. But we can build a civilization, an advanced civilization that no longer tells the human being to slow down, no longer is trying to be the babysitter of the civilization. Now what it is, let me tell you, it's like that, it's like a scene in a movie really, with the story of our species, where there never were students and teachers. There never were a sort of, every person was just a creature in the battlefield of the space-time continuum. And I say battlefield because really that's not because of its connotation, because of just what it is. Just creatures moving in the space-time continuum. And it feels like the general belief that the observable universe is the only location of reality. This seems to be a spell on the species. That means there is something that, if the person doesn't care for nature, doesn't matter where in the world you go, hell finds you. It's as if it's just a bunker. It's an ideological bunker. Every person right now, rather than the whole species being honest and being like, we don't know, then there is potentials of knowing, and out of those potentials of knowing, there's many probabilities and we can choose. But instead, people are like, no, I know, and it's like language wars continue. That means we are under attack. Poetically, I'm saying this, like entertain this, as I'm saying this humorously. We are under attack by an alien called language. Now this alien, some people are like, okay, you know, it's like this alien wants to be here, we want to be here, symbiosis. Okay? Some people are like, no, the language has already consumed them. The language is them. They have literally become too hardened in their belief system to dare to see another way their eyes can move. Dylan says, what kind of spell is mankind under? Did dinosaurs know about God? Oh, that's a hilarious question. I mean, the second part. But the first part is, the spell is, I'm not saying that so you react to the idea like a child who found, like, you know, a pinata to hit. I'm saying that idea, Dylan, in the way where the world is, we are living inside a world inside a world. That world inside a world is language, where everybody's inner realm their personhood animates from. So that means there's some people who have waken up from the world inside the world. There are some people who haven't woken up from the world inside the world. So they're still caught in the individual web of games. It's as if, imagine the universe, existence, whatever it is like a giant, dare I say, video game like store or whatever. So imagine every being in the space-time continuum is looking at a video game, and they have choices. You can choose to get out of a video game in the same way as a person chooses to get out of a neighborhood, bad neighborhood, or an inefficient neighborhood. Any system that doesn't care for its greater potential doesn't know its value, so it's doomed. And when I say it's doomed until it's like Jacques Lacan's mirror effect happens to it. And And the free will is really fathomed through language. I think there was a saying that you can't really help anyone. You can make them realize who they could be from within. Something along these lines. Really, nobody knows what other people's eyes are seeing, really. You know, that means the only way we could actually have solid truth is if we were all experiencing each other's minds. But because that is not the case in our conscious domain of being a person, so it's as if we have to treat everybody like, check this out, the whole history's been bent up on knowing things, but maybe the way we can live peacefully is to treat ourselves as unknown, and treat others as unknown, and treat the world as unknown, and our interactions are generating the knowledge visible. That means when we ask about who is the self, it's rooted in the unobservable universe. When we ask what is the source of the world, it's rooted in the unobservable universe. When we ask where others, the source of others are, it's in the unobservable universe, rooted in the unobservable universe. So that would be a very advanced civilization, where people did not fear not being anything in the moment. Can you imagine? Right now, it's like the type of civilization we have built, it is constant projection of identity. It's as if society is a language. It's a language aside from the language in society that you, like the language of your nation. Aside from that, it's another language, you know. Similar to mathematics, it's like another interpretation of the universal activity through the number. For me, there is no such thing as knowledge, as if one knowledge. There is phenomena, and there's angles to that phenomena based on how much the will puts in an effort to see. The hidden gates to the heart do not open until the inner child returns and is no longer exiled from the conscious mind. Because unless the decency of the simpler self of your psyche is not restored, the complexity, there is no backup system to the conscious personality in the present. That means the person has to treat themselves. You know what it is? It's like, this is the cool thing, that when a person lives a life, they can any moment in that life go back to a point in their past and be a guardian. I'll say it this way. It's like things that have happened to the person can go back and see that moment. And the person can respond. I don't know how many times I have had moments where somebody said something and the right words didn't find me. Then like 3 minutes later, all the right words found me. It was like ridiculous. I'm like, oh man, it was like, there was, it was a moment like that. It's like, make simplicity your ally, and then it's easier to make complexity your ally. But if the person just where's the complex, then the simplicity of the world hasn't updated. That means everybody should treat as if they have a micro view on reality and a macro view on reality. The macro view on reality, it's like, who am I, to myself in the world. The micro view is, what is the world? What is myself to the world? I would say it's as if the cultural program is evolving into the diamond phase or the kaleidoscopic shift in culture, where in a culture, a system of behavior based on a language in a singular way, the moment the language is witnessed experientially in multiple ways, there comes not only the potential for endless languages, but there comes the potential of using one language in an incredibly advanced way. That means, I would say, it's as if you can use one language in a very complex way, but that ability is coming from actually an ability of trying to train to use multiple languages simultaneously in the interrupts. So I would say when I speak, I shift between different fields of how I have interpreted reality with the recognition that attention emerges it out of the unconscious. Attention is the flashlight in the dark forest. And when a person closes their eyes, they are a subject in waiting for effort in the outer realms. I could think right now, I'm using my free will, I'm doing something in this world, and then, whatever happens at the end, it could be like it had nothing to do with the way I saw the beginning. But to a higher dimensional observer, whether this higher dimensional observer is you wondering about the past, or you becoming the past for your future. That means I feel the way we can know the future is by how we become a memory for it. The way we know our past is how our present in the past became a memory. We are like solar-powered memories in the middle of a multidimensional nowhere, which is also in the New Age community scene, now, here, and now, here. I never saw somebody ask, in the Eckhart Tolle audience, it's like, what do we do now that we're here and now? What do we do in a space-time continuum that from one angle we are generating it, from another angle it's generating us? What do we do with that? And I will tell you, you will suffer if you want to choose one of the sides. You're piloting the middle way. You pilot. A pilot is not defined by where they started and where they end, because there are so many journeys ahead you can't define with the events of one lifetime. The more multidimensional you I don't say appear. You see, this is actually interesting. We can say appearance when something appears. It appears in a singular view, where we can define it, and then when something disappears, you could say it's multidimensional. That means it could be that it's like I remember my actual father using this metaphor when I was asking him about his view on the soul, and he was like, it's like a balloon. When the balloon bursts, that means imagine you have this balloon, and imagine you have pennies taped on this balloon. Now imagine this balloon just gets bigger. Eventually it reaches a point where it no longer needs to be a balloon. So it cannot continue, as if you outgrew the senses. So this balloon bursts. The moment this balloon bursts, what would happen most likely is that the weight of universal phenomena, or I'll say it this way. It's as if the air inside the balloon and the air outside of the balloon were always the same. Oh my God, is that why religion is same oneness? Is that why the yogis were meditating to find some sort of union of an inseparability of the individual with the cosmos? So the air in the balloon has never left, it has never been born, can't die. But what is born is the balloon where the air is blown in. Right? So that means energy is literally like the air inside the balloon of like the human skin, you know? Everything inside the body is happening as a result to generate energy in accordance to what the unknown witness inputs into the outer realms. That's why I'm saying our bodies are like they are destined to a two-dimensional, like we know the destiny of the two-dimensional, let's say, I'm using this metaphor, the body's not, I'm using the two dimensions, three dimensions as just an example, you know, metaphoric example. Two-dimensional destiny, three-dimensional free will. But when three-dimensional free will realizes its three-dimensional free will wasn't three-dimensional free will, it was fourth-dimensional destiny. From fourth-dimensional destiny, the being arises to fourth-dimensional free will. From fourth-dimensional free will, the algorithm repeats. Let's say they wake up. So what that means is we use what we have, then we trust the energy we have built so far, like a momentum. That means that maybe this is the idea that's missing, that there should be no concept a person needs motivation. Everything is in momentum, you just choose to pilot it. That means it's like everybody, by being something, it's like their activity does something to the world, you know? And the coolest view is that our choices have never been made on this planet because we were never made until now. That means before I existed, I had no idea who I was. That means there's nothing to fear. It's just a giant mystery, and everybody should treat themselves as an explorer of the realm. And if they care, they share. If they don't, then the world still goes on. The era of advanced communication has come. That means all inner realm landscapes now for the first time require to be globalized. As if the logos was like, alright, the chess pieces are in motion, you know, are all placed properly. And so what is the next stage of 8 billion creatures on this rock? After their fragmented kind of grouphood. Individuals, like cells, become more complex cells, groups become more complex. That means the idea should be everything is advancing. The future is vacuuming the efficiency of the past towards itself. In regards to the Arcane, I would want to comment on this idea that I feel, first of all, Japanese storytelling is out of control and incredible. There's this, there was this show, pretty much different types of, in this magical universe where it was the opposite. There were characters who, how do I say this? Everybody in the universe has magic. This kid is born without any magic. It's the opposite. Now we're living in a world where there's no such thing. And of course technology has kicked magic out of our eyes. In this universe, the show was, anyways, I'm not going to say the name of the show in case I'm saying a part of it. That's off. But anyways, in this magical universe, there's a kid who's born that doesn't have magic. This kid only has hope. That's all he has. He has nothing else in the show, you know? And it's this idea of his endless hope that he ends up reaching. That means he just has this undefeatable determinism. As if the victory is important in a way where no force in the outer realm can comprehend. So its motivation is on its own. So anyways, in this universe, every person is born with a different sort of magical ability, and this is of course a Japanese comic book that was made into a show. But anyways. What happens is every character is bestowed by a different magical ability, and there's some characters in the show which they are called those who are loved by mana. Mana is the idea of, like, you know, the fictional idea of like the power behind, the energy behind magic, you know, in this context, okay? So those who were loved by mana, those who were loved by the energy of the universe, and that means the universe decided what it gave. You know, and some people were born with a mana loved them in the show. And then some people, like the main character of the show, were born with nothing. But it was so incredible that there's so many ways this world can move, that if a person just implements effort, they will eventually find something. You know, the poet Hafiz says, I have realized one thing in this life, that every heart will get what it wants deep down. Will get, I think that's what it was, deep down what it wants. Every heart, not every brain, not the egoic archetype. The heart is what the being feels in accordance to their performance, not in front of some personal divine agency in the clouds, you know, personified divine agency. I'm telling you, it's just your performance in existence as existence. You see, we are living to ourselves in one way, and that's the mind's life, and we're living to the world in another way. That is the body's life. An example of the double-edged dimensions here. So in the show, those characters who were loved by mana, they were blessed with great ability, but check this out. There was another force called destiny. That means there was a force that was all manipulation of elements and power and all of this. Then there was a force beyond that, which was getting closer to destiny, and then beyond destiny, truth. That means it's all getting from the simulation level closer to the programmer's reality. And in this show, there was like this character where in Japanese thought, they see destiny where it's as if these red lines that connect everybody. I don't know why that imagery is there. I think it was from Taoism, some echo from Taoism probably. But in that idea, or Confucius maybe said, I don't know what it was, but it was like there was this idea in Japanese culture where everybody's connected with invisible red strings. I don't know, you know. Maybe it was a metaphor for how everybody has the same color of blood, regardless of, you know. That means, guys, I just thought about it just before I continue. The color of our skin is not the true color of the person. if you consider the color of the cells, we are more red, I shouldn't say skin, but we are more of a red creature than the outer vision. Do you know that means it's as if like red and white on the inside, and whatever the weather through time chose on the outside. It's so many inferior games, and that's the reality. Unless we close, like on a phone, an unnecessary application, the unnecessary applications, we won't have the full energy for the one true application, you know. Anyways, I'll go back to the story. So there was a character in this show where this character would doubt herself, and she was caged and trapped by this witch, like in the show. And the idea is that she breaks out of it, and the reason the witch was trapping her was because she had the power to control destiny, but she didn't know. And in the show, she had, like, her power was threads, but then she realizes, like, these are the threads of destiny or whatever. So she has this power, this sort of ability, regardless of, in the show, the display of, I don't know, fire magic, water magic, I don't know, anti-magic, you know? All of these types of magic, there comes a scene where this one character, her magic was like destiny magic, like that kind of. It's like, you know, next level marketing of magic, but like. But the idea was that she had found a way where her ability was that some strange, anyways, like cat made of thread would appear, and whatever the cat would touch, the destiny of what the caster of the thing wanted would occur, right? It was like that kind of idea in the show, right? So I'm just relaying this Japanese show's imagery, but there's something very crucial there, right? That it was a sort of, and I just remember there was even this other show, and they had a term where they would say source magic. Now, if you exchange the word magic to energy, just wielded energy, that means a person lifts up a cup in the air, right? That's not bad, right? We just lifted a cup in the air. Now, if the person didn't use their hand and lifted a cup in the air, would that morally be wrong? Would that be blasphemy? You see, it's all about image ascribing what the image in the inner realms to the outer realms. What it is energy is moving. And then it has reached a certain point where it's telling itself a story, but it doesn't know what's there next. So, in the show, what surpassed the elemental was that which came closer to time, and that which became beyond time was destiny, which was what commanded time. As if time, we thought it was the ultimate. Time is like a soldier listening to the commands of an unknown general, imagine. So that would be destiny. Now, destiny, we fathom it through minds, because we're creatures, characters in a story, and this character at some point is going to vanish in the story. It's going to evaporate. It's like the person gets old and fades. And the destiny at the end of it came down to the heart of the person who was using the magic. That means the soul, the character in the show, pretty much that was seen was the character in the show, didn't want a character to die by an evil person, so they cast this ability, and this ability, this like energy magic of theirs, like destiny magic, makes the moment unable to anything to happen to the person, right? So I'm saying it was as if the heart is the secret chamber of the ultimate power. The arcane mysteries all go to the heart. That means the Bhakti Yogi has, and let me tell you why. Because this realm is a communication. We're communicating with our universe. That means before I communicate with the audience, what I was considering I was going to do was a self-communication, right? And we considered self-communication as thought, but that was the, you can say, the misinterpretation of René Descartes' "I think, therefore I am." That sentence is like air. I shouldn't say air. It's an air of a truth. That means it's literally like a relayed. It's a bad translation. All philosophers know, and the analytical philosophers and the continental philosophers, their difference was their honesty to experience. The continental philosopher kept the unknown alive. The analytical philosopher didn't need it. Could the destiny of lesser dimensions be the free will of greater ones? I have to make this point that in Vedic thought, in Indian metaphysics, the idea of Mount Meru and 7 upper planes to the realm, and we are at like in Vedic thought, in Vedic metaphysics, we're like at the bottom of a mountain, our dimension, and there's 7 upper planes. And these 7 upper planes keep going to the point of inseparability, like a deeper comprehension of inseparability, deeper comprehension of inseparability. Eventually it reaches beyond Mahaloka, the realm of the great sages and enlightened beings. When I say enlightened beings, that doesn't mean form-based. It means being can be just by what it is, by the merit of how it is being. Clarity of the light. The light is in our eyes in an instant. Perhaps when we forget this, we seek enlightenment. Our species has one ultimate survival strategy. And that is to go all out. It's as if, imagine right now in the outer realms, we're in the middle of a language war and the species is losing. Right? And a strategist has come and said, hey, now time to activate another dimension. We don't fight in the same battlefield. We shift. We shift and from a new angle engage the moment. That means I'm going to say this. Let's say a person should try something 360 times. Each attempt being a degree of perception, something the person's seen. After 360 degrees, then the person can come back to the center. Rahul says time is physical extension of mind. Space is visual extension of mind, and mind itself is extension of spirit, self. All exists within spirit and also as spirit. All exists within spirit and also as spirit, modified as different intensity. I hadn't finished climbing up Mount Meru, but yes, but at the same time, if you are the extension of the spirit, you are the spirit. If you are the spirit, why do you have a reason to be human? You see, you can touch the truth of this nature, but it doesn't mean the truth is for humans. The human life is an event. It's a work of art. It's a science experiment. Or I should say, it's a science project that's 4.5 billion years it took for it to develop, or whatever amount. We can say we're as old as, like, I can consider my age because we're made of. We say we're made of the periodic table, right? Everybody's right now their mind is dancing on the periodic table, right? So if I'm the periodic table right now, that means I'm as old as the universe. Who said I'm 28? I'm as old as the Big Bang. You see, as wherever we decided to put the pen on the empty paper and start drawing a line and be like, yeah, let's name this and call that measure. Rahul, I think this would be a good response to your comment. If Plato was here, he would tell you time is the moving image of eternity. Yes, we can be eternal. Being eternal. It's like what we do is temporary. So I'm saying that it's as if it's this strange opportunity where eyes have appeared in the middle of nowhere, somehow localized elementally with technologies accessible. It's literally like waking up in a battlefield, like that Enemy at the Gates movie scene where some soldiers were given bullets and some soldiers were given just what is it, like a gun or something, you know, a rifle. So like this is in the Enemy at the Gates movie scene. The idea was beyond Maharloka, then the being would go to Brahmaloka. This would be a point where the being has become, it's as if the first, it's like there's the potential of being caged in the mind of higher dimensions, but at the same time looking at the lesser dimensions and realizing the same pattern echoing. You know, so based on how you look at this, it's like this could be, courage is an angle. Beyond Maharloka, in Brahmaloka, gods, it's as if before Brahmaloka, the unknown is the truth of the known. Beyond that, it's the other side of the coin, where the known. Where the God, you can say in the city of gods, they all evolve to recognizing they are the family of the one truth, which means the ultimate evolution of all phenomenology into one being. When you are one being, there is no rebirth in Vedic thought, they say. Once you get to the top of the mountain peak, the journey is not with feet. So there is no individual karma anymore. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. And really, I just feel we have inner technologies and outer technologies. The outer technologies serve the biological kingdom. The inner realm is the ultimate. That means it's as if the mind is a god to the body, but to itself can only be the unknown after, you know. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Okay. Before I end off, see, Rahul, the last sentence of the comment where you say, okay, I'll read it. You say there are two ways of living, in existence or as existence. World is city of Rahman, senses are door of this city, and individual ego is office of ignorance. Office of ignorance, hindering the light of truth. That last sentence is not first. I'm pretty sure you haven't looked at it. The ego, an object, doesn't have a soul. You see, it's as if you're still attached to the game of trying to. There's nothing wrong with having an ego. You know why? Because it changes all the time. So a person to think that the ego is the office of ignorance, that means right now your sentence, Alan Watts explains the ego as the idea of self, the attention to the idea of self in the moment. You see, it is not wrong to be human. Any school of thought, it doesn't matter if it's even deep mysticism, you see, it's like, be human first, then. That means, I'll tell you, Rahul, you are treating the world as an illusion. Am I right or wrong? You see, there has been too many saints saying, love is truth, I love truth, and then suddenly being like, the world's an illusion, renounce everything, it's like, get out of here. You know, like it's like a love that wants to escape suffering is not love, it's a weakness. Rahul says, not as illusion, but rather as something malleable, like dream. So dream is an illusion, man. Only underlying being is truly real. Becoming is dependent on being. Okay. First of all, I like how you're saying that. Only underlying being is truly real. No. You thinking this is not real, it's like a round circle. You know, there's a metaphysics that is escaping reality. It's like, it's not this, you know, but then there's a metaphysics that realizes it's not this, realizes it's not anything in the two-dimensional realm, right? But the three-dimensional eye, suddenly the square realizes it's a cube, and then is it okay for a cube to be a square? It's not okay. It's like, if you know what I'm saying? It's okay for a cube to be a square. We have to build a civilization for cubes in Square Town. That's the aim. But interesting question. Thanks for sharing. Anyways, guys, I'll be on Discord. For those who care to keep philosophy alive. Namaste.